So as you all know, last year, John Oliver, who is the host of HBO's incredibly popular show Last Week Tonight, he talked about net neutrality and he instructed all of his viewers to go file a comment on the FCC's website and tell them to leave the internet alone. Now, what happened was that so many of his viewers heeded his call and did that they crashed the FCC's website. Now, the FCC has since claimed that the website actually went down because of a DDoS attack. Now, the FCC hasn't actually provided the public with even a single shred of evidence to prove that this was the case, probably because this wasn't the case. It was a lie. The FCC's website crashed because there was a surge in traffic. That's it. But by calling it a DDoS attack, they not only made themselves look like the victims, but they could pretend as if there was nothing they could do. So conveniently, when a bunch of pro-net neutrality commenters wanted to voice their opinion, oops, sorry everyone, looks like we were attacked and the website's down. Now, to make it seem as though this narrative was more credible and that a DDoS attack did in fact happen in 2017, well, all of a sudden, FCC officials started talking about a DDoS attack that happened in 2014. Now, we've never heard them say this before, publicly anyways. And it also happened when John Oliver then also instructed his viewers to submit comments. So the whole situation stinks. But what's interesting is that their lie about this DDoS attack occurring in 2014 came back to bite them in the ass in a really big way, because it's now showing that they're lying in 2017 as well. So as Del Cameron of Gizmodo reports, as it wrestled with accusations about a fake cyber attack last spring, the Federal Communications Commission purposely misled several news organizations, choosing to feed journalists false information while at the same time discouraging them from challenging the agency's official story. Internal emails reviewed by Gizmodo lay bare the agency's efforts to counter rife speculation that senior officials manufactured a cyber attack, allegedly to explain away technical problems plaguing the FCC's comment system amid its high-profile collection of public comments on a controversial and since-passed proposal to overturn federal net neutrality rules. The FCC has been unwilling or unable to produce any evidence an attack occurred, not to the reporters who have requested and even sued over it, and not to the U.S. lawmakers who have demanded to see it. Instead, the agency conducted a quiet campaign to bolster its cyber attack story with the aid of friendly and easily duped reporters, chiefly by spreading word of an earlier cyber attack that its own security staff say never happened. The FCC's system was overwhelmed on the night of May 7th, 2017, after comedian John Oliver, host of HBO's Last Week Tonight, directed his audience to flood the agency with comments supporting net neutrality. In the immediate aftermath, the agency claimed the comment system had been deliberately impaired due to a series of distributed denial of service attacks. Net neutrality supporters, however, accused the agency of fabricating the attack to absolve itself from failing to keep the system online. The system similarly crashed after Oliver ordered his viewers to the FCC website in 2014. The FCC, at the time led by Democrat Tom Wheeler, determined that the comment system had been affected by a surge of internet traffic. The issue was compounded, sources told Gizmodo, by a weakness in the system's out-of-date software. Importantly, the agency never blamed a malicious attack for the system's downtime in 2014, not in any official statement. But in May 2017, under the Trump-appointed chairman Ajit Pai, at least two FCC officials quietly pushed a fallacious account of the 2014 incident, attempting to persuade reporters that the comment system had long been the target of DDoS attacks. Quote, there was a DDoS event right after the John Oliver video in 2014, one official told reporters at FedScoop, according to emails reviewed by Gizmodo. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts in this story, so let me summarize what's going on because this is pretty confusing. So basically, John Oliver directed his viewers to file comments on the FCC's website. It then crashed. And after it crashed, because the FCC presumably didn't want the system flooded with a bunch of pro-net neutrality comments, they decided to just not work quickly to bring the website back up and chalked it up to a DDoS attack. Now, in order to bolster their claims that a DDoS attack occurred, they decided to then make up a lie about another DDoS attack occurring in 2014 in order to make it seem as though this was a frequent occurrence at the FCC. And the lengths that they went to prove that a DDoS attack occurred in 2014 in an effort to make them look more credible in 2017 is where this story gets really crazy because it's just astonishing. So there's an individual named David Bray. Now, this guy served as the FCC's chief information officer from 2013 to 2017. Now, to presumably make Ajit Pai look better, he was one of the main individuals pushing this false claim that there was a DDoS attack in 2014, and that the last FCC chairman, Tom Wheeler, actually covered up that DDoS attack in 2014 in order to discourage possible copycats. Now, Bray never said this publicly. Instead, he quietly pushed this narrative in emails with reporters, and now that these emails have been obtained by and published by Gizmodo, well, the last FCC chairman and his former counselor are learning about this, and they're just coming out and saying, this is 100% false, it's fabricated, and he never claimed that there was a DDoS attack in 2014 because there was no evidence that a DDoS attack occurred. As Tom Wheeler stated, the website was just overwhelmed, there was no malicious attack. Now, once others in the agency, Ajit Pai, other individuals, started to claim that there was a DDoS attack in 2017, well, Bray was one of the individuals that really pushed this narrative that there was in fact a DDoS attack in 2014, and we just never told you about this. It was a conspiracy. It was literally a cover-up by the last FCC chairman, and he really reinforced this narrative by planting stories with reporters, so he only spoke to them on the condition of anonymity. And Bray was personally invested in pushing this narrative because his ass was literally on the line. He was the senior official tasked with maintaining the FCC comment system, and he didn't want to take responsibility or get in trouble, so he just claimed that the FCC website went down in 2014 and then in 2017 due to numerous DDoS attacks, when we never even heard anyone publicly say that there was a DDoS attack in 2014. So again, it wasn't until they wanted to make themselves look more credible in 2017 that they started talking about the 2014 DDoS attack. Now, what's interesting is that Bray actually managed to dupe over one gullible reporter from the Wall Street Journal who actually went along with his fake conspiracy about this alleged cover-up that the last FCC chairman did and how he concealed details about a huge DDoS attack that occurred in 2014. And once Bray was able to dupe over this one journalist from the Wall Street Journal, he then took that story, shared it around, shared it with other reporters, shared it in email responses to citizens, and basically said, look, this is the evidence. So, I mean, think about how disingenuous this guy is. He plants this narrative in the media, dupes over a reporter, and once he has a credible source citing this as fact, he then says, look, here's evidence. I have this source from the Wall Street Journal. Meanwhile, he's not telling anyone that he's the source. He's the one that planted that narrative, but now he's parading this article around as if it's evidence. But I mean, it wasn't just the Wall Street Journal. After he had the quote evidence that he needed, he then used that article to bolster his claim and started telling journalists to equate the alleged 2017 DDoS attack to a similar attack that happened to Pokemon Go. And guess what? Another journalist, this time from ZDNet, literally did just that, and like a good little stooge, published a propaganda piece reporting exactly what Bray wanted him to report, parroting his claim about Pokemon Go. And when a different journalist at ZDNet that had more common sense published a different story asking for more evidence, the journalist that ended up parroting Bray's talking point actually attacked his own colleague and told Bray that the FCC should publicly demand a correction to the story and that Bray himself should complain to the boss of ZDNet because one of their journalists dared to question the official narrative that was handed down from the FCC. So this idiot journalist bought the narrative that Bray, this guy, was pushing hook, line, and sinker, and bought it so much that he attacked his own colleague for daring to ask for evidence. I mean, this story, it goes deep, really. This is about a cover-up. This is about media collusion. This is about propaganda. It really gives you some insight as to how corrupt and duplicitous the FCC has become under the leadership of Ajit Pai in order to hide the facts and gaslight American citizens. And it's absolutely despicable. And again, every week there's a new scandal involving either Ajit Pai or the FCC. And this is probably one of the bigger scandals to come out because it just shows how brazenly disingenuous these people are. I mean, the chief information officer, Bray, this guy in the picture here, was willing to cook up a conspiracy about the last FCC chairman concealing details about a 2014 DDoS attack, all to make Ajit Pai's bullshit claim about a 2017 DDoS attack look more credible. It's absolutely absurd, and I don't know how Ajit Pai isn't facing massive pressure from lawmakers to resign after we keep seeing scandal after scandal after scandal and lie after lie that he keeps giving to the American people. It's absolutely unacceptable.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.